Hey everybody, this is Tony Contespati from GreatVocalMajority.com. Today I'm going to do a little bit of a education primer, a few minutes. People doing a lot of talking about the Bureau of Labor Statistics reports, the jobs reports, and they're throwing a lot of things around, a lot of facts that some things are true, some things are not true. But there's a very useful tool I want to make you aware of if you're not already aware of it. It's called the labor force status flows. And I'm just going to give you like a 5 or 10 minute primer on what it looks like, how it works, and why it's useful. So the first thing we'll do is take a look at this chart. What is the labor force status? Well, the Bureau of Labor Statistics every month publishes this report. Comes out after the normal announcement of the unemployment rate. It's called labor force status flows. And there's just basically three categories. There's, of course, employed people working, as defined by the BLS, what working means. It's very minimal. Could be, I think, just an hour a month, and that's considered employed. Then there's unemployed. Obviously, those are people that are not working, but the key thing here is they're seeking work. You're only considered unemployed if you're not working and you're seeking work. Then there's not in the labor force. Now that could be anybody that isn't working or seeking work. Could be retired people, people on disability, could be people that are just giving up looking for work. And flows refers to the activity in and out of each of those categories, employed, unemployed, and not in the labor force. So all of these status flow reports are based on data that comes out of the household survey as opposed to the establishment survey. Remember, the establishment survey is just of payrolls of a very narrow number of companies, but it's very accurate as opposed to the household survey, which is a much broader survey. It's a much larger sample, but as a percentage of the population, it's a very small sample, the household survey. So the household survey does have its problems with accuracy, but it is what we base the unemployment rate on. So anyway, moving on to the next chart, I want to show you how you can interpret data that's in the monthly employment situation report. That's the report that comes out every month that has the unemployment rate in it and the number of jobs created. Now we'll take an example that goes back to December. If you look at December, the employment situation report in December said that 92,898,000 people were not in the labor force and that 456,000 people left the workforce during the month. But you see those numbers, and those are really net numbers. And I laid out a little chart here to show you how they arrive at it. And the way I did this is I got it right out of the labor force status reports. So the first thing you have is the opening balance, the December 1st balance of the number of people not in the labor force, and that was 92,442,000. Now, to that number are people coming into, this is the flow part of the status flow, people coming into the grouping called not in the labor force. And where are they coming from? Well, there are basically two main places. There are people who were employed. They were employed at the beginning of the month, but during the month of December, they left the workforce. Now, the kind of people that would normally encompass in this group here, this 4,411,000, would be people who retire. Some people in this group could also be people who have gone on disability. So this number includes both retirements and disability. And then you have this grouping down here, December from unemployed. Now, people that are coming from being unemployed to going out of the workforce, you would generally associate those people with people who are tired or have given up looking for work. So in the month of December, 2,198,000 people landed in that category. Then the BLS has this marginal ads category, and it's kind of a nebulous thing. It looks to be mostly rounding. So I don't even really address that. But then you come to the total of the number of people that actually left either the employed category or unemployed category and are now not in the labor force. And that in the month of December was 6.9 million people. That's a bunch of people. Then you have people that are leaving the not in labor force category. These are people that are finding jobs, like you see right here, December to employed. These are people that were not in the labor force and a job fell on their lap and they got a job. That's 4,047,000 people. Quite a bit of a number. Then you have people that went from not in the labor force to unemployed. Those are people who think that their job prospects are better now, so they're now going out looking for work. They don't have a job yet, but they think they're going to find one. That's why they went from not in the labor force, now they're unemployed. And then in this category as well, you also have this marginal exit number, which, like I said earlier, on the other side, on the ad side, is really mostly just a rounding. So then you have the net change. Now, if you remember, when we went back here, we were talking about, the net numbers, and over here we mentioned 456,000 people that had left the labor force. That's a net number of all of these categories. So it's really the number of people that left the workforce was 6.9 million, but there was 6.5 million that entered the workforce. So that net number is what you see here in the net change to not in the labor force, 456,000. So since the number grew from 92.4 million to 92.9 million down here, we're saying 456,000 people left the workforce. But to really understand that number, this 456,000 number right here, you really have to know what's going on here. So it's not always fair to say, oh, 456,000 people left the workforce. How awful. Well, maybe awful, but unless you know the dynamics underneath it, you don't know if it's from people just retiring, like up here, or going on disability, or people who were truly given up looking for work, like down here. So where do you find this data? Well, you go to the BLS website, and I've given you the web address here. I just think it's better if people go and run a query that that shows you this information. I mean, if you're not a digit head and you don't get into the data, okay, I get it. But just understand, whenever you see a number like 456,000 people leaving the workforce, don't listen to people when they say, oh, that's only people that retired. And don't listen to people that say, oh, that's people that have just given up looking for work. It isn't all, neither of those two people are right. The right answer is right here. And it's better that you know it than not know it, because if you know it, you understand the truth. And that's really all I had to say in this little video. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, go to my website, greatvocalmajority.com. Take a look around, sign up for the podcast, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Appreciate it. Take care.